The top 3 closing lines you must know for acquisitions in wholesaling real estate. What's up, guys? Zach Ginn here, and in today's video, I'm going to break down the top 3 acquisitions closing lines you need to start using in your virtual wholesaling real estate and in your regular wholesaling real estate. Before we break it down, do me a big favor and smash that like button and subscribe, and let's break it down. So really, when you come to closing a seller or doing your quote-unquote closing lines for a seller, it really comes down to the way you say it and the way you say the words, because at the end of the day, you are just trying to get a property under contract for the best price. And most wholesalers, they just try to go in there, ram a lowball offer and try to get it done. And it makes a lot of sellers really upset. And if you don't really put in the right efforts in your closing lines, you're not going to be successful. So this is why I want to break down the top three closing lines you should be using for wholesaling real estate success. So the number one here, I could tell you, is probably one of my favorite ones, is just the regular old dollar method. If you can get a seller to give you their price first, that's going to be the best one. So number 3 here, I'm going to call it the dollar bill method. I love the dollar bill method. I think it's probably one of the best ones out here, because the general rule in wholesaling real estate is you need to get the seller's price first, right? So if they get the price first, then you can kind of work it back and get a better price, because once you get the seller's price first, they never, ever can go get the price up. So if they tell you, hey, I'm looking to sell the property for $50,000, they're not going to work their way up to $60,000. So that's the advantage you have, because if you get the price first, maybe, you say 60, that's the lowest you're probably going to take, right? And so when you get the price first, whatever price you say, you can't go lower. When they do the same thing, it's the same. They can't really go higher on the price. So to get the seller's price first, sometimes, in regular wholesaling real estate, you talk to the seller, and unfortunately, they kind of give you the whole, oh, I don't know how much the property's worth, or I don't know how much I'm looking to sell the house for. And that get kind of annoying. Like, I totally get it. So what you have to do here is just do the dollar bill method. So the dollar bill method is basically the method when you're talking to a seller, just saying, hey, Mr. Seller, how much are you looking to sell the property for? Oh, Zach, I have no idea how much I'm looking to sell the house for. And I get that all the time. It sounds annoying, and I hear it all the time. So what do you do when they're in that situation? I usually go the dollar bill method. So, Mr. Seller, you sure you don't know how much you're looking to sell the house for? No, I have no idea. So I say, well, Mr. Seller, would you sell me the house for like $1? Obviously, the seller's not going to sell their house for $1. But the reason you're saying that is you're technically giving like a joke offer, but being semi-serious to a point. And when you do this, a couple things happen. Number one, and probably most importantly, they know it's a joke if you're laughing in it. And that kind of brings the court back in there. Puts the ball back in their court, because you just offered them, well, why can't I buy the house for $1 if you have no idea how much you're going to sell the house for? It's comically low on purpose. And then they're going to say, well, I want to sell it for $1. Duh, of course not. Like, well, what are you going to sell it for? I don't know. And I'm like, well, $2? No, $3? You just keep going until they get annoyed to a point. They're like, $50,000 I'm looking to sell the house for. Okay, well, now we're getting somewhere. Now you're starting to figure out that, hey, $50,000 is your price. And guess what? You get the seller's price first, which you can just work down, keep going, working down, and you're fine. That's very, very important when it comes to your negotiations. That is a closing line I use all the time, and it works really, really well. Just understanding, guys, you cannot do these closing lines unless you condition the seller. Conditioning the seller is basically making sure the seller is ready to make a yes or no decision on selling the property before we actually even go into the closing lines. If you want to learn exactly how to do that, just go to freewholesaling.com. That's my free wholesaling course. That is hands down probably my favorite way to get someone's just basically their price first if they're giving you some slack. The next one here is sort of going to be a lowball seller price first method. This is basically just the method of getting the price first on the other way. So use the dollar bill method. That's definitely one of my favorite ones. Rick's favorite one's actually called the volley method. These two are basically methods of just getting the price out of the seller first. So getting the price out of the seller first basically gives you the best position on the deal. So the volley method is basically like volleyball. You're playing volleyball. Hey, Mr. Seller, and you just explain that how much you're looking to sell the property for. Oh, I have no idea how much I'm looking to sell the property for. Okay. Well, if you did know, what would it be? Okay, you have no idea. Well, if you did know what it would be, realistically, if I'm just going to buy this cash, what would it be? I don't know. You have no idea. Well, if you did know, what would it be? You just keep volleying it back. Like, I know I'm not saying it perfectly here, but like, if you just keep volleying it back, eventually they're just going to make $50,000. Like, they get very frustrated on it. Now, Rick says it more eloquently, I would say, but it's actually a really good strategy for getting the seller's price first. And it's definitely something that I constantly try to do in our business. And when we teach our virtual acquisition staff and then our actual in-person one, the volley method works really, really well. Now, my top one, my favorite one, the best one I use all time is the good cop, bad cop approach. So you got to remember in basically acquisitions, there's 3 processes of selling. People usually decide to go with you on a real estate wholesaling deal due to emotion, logic, or fear. And you got to figure out which one the seller's looking to do. Most of the time, the sellers are usually selling due to emotion. Now, sometimes they'll actually sell due to logic and fear. You got to deal with the logical sellers on the good cop, bad cop to a point. So some sellers are actually okay with you going out here saying, oh, if I'm able to give you a cash solution for the property, you can sell it in 14 days, 13 days, what price works for you? And that's just a pretty much traditional when you have freewholesaling.com. You kind of bring up the pain points, and then you kind of hit them with what price they want to sell the house for. If they say no, you can do a volley method or the dollar bill method, but sometimes you want to do like a trial close for like a really, really good low ball. So what does this method sort of entail? So the good cop is going to be you, and the bad cop is going to be a random partner. If you don't have a bad cop, use me as your quote-unquote bad cop in the situation. And the bad cop is basically going to be the person who wants to lowball you all the time. They're the mean, evil person, right? So basically how this works is good cop, bad cop. So I'm just explaining it. Mr. Seller, I was looking at the property here, and, I was talking to Rick about it, and he was probably closer to around $120,000 on this house. Did you see how I just said Rick was around that at the house? For the house? Well, you get the reaction, so you get a quick pause, and they're like, that's too low. They're all angry at you. The cool part about that is, Mr. Seller, I didn't offer you $120,000 for the house. That's just where he was at. And Rick's crazy. He always wants to buy the house for the lowest possible. That kind of gives you the out. There's some slick people out here that on like Valentine's Day, they'll go and they're like, do you want to kiss? And then this person says no, they just give you a Hershey's kiss. Like, it's kind of like that where like they're going to ask you a direct question and just say, just kidding at the end. And that's kind of the best sort of analogy to use now for sales, is that you can offer them a really low ball on the house and just say it's what your partner's just discussing. And you can kind of be like, well, sometimes people kick you out of the house if you lowball them, but you're technically not lowballing them. It's just your seller. It's just your partner saying something really mean and weird. And guess what? Now I know 120 ain't going to work, and we can negotiate from there. Now, if they're like, oh, I got to sell this for 200, now you can kind of get logical on here and say, well, Mr. Seller, Rick's at 120, you're at 200. Why don't we just meet at the middle? Wouldn't that make good sense to you? Why don't we do 150, or just you meet in the middle there? Because then it seemed like, hey, logically that actually makes a lot of sense, because Rick's here, I'm here, that makes sense. Shake hands on it. I have done so many real estate wholesaling deals just with that type of method, where I'm just blaming Rick, and I'm doing like a trial close. They're called trial closes. They're sort of like you're closing, but you're like doing a fake closing or a pretend closing just to gauge them on their interest on it. And I found it actually works really, really, really well. Nobody really talks about these in these guru sales, wholesaling, acquisition things, but if you start implementing this in your business, it's going to change a lot for you. I promise you right now. Once you start implementing strategies like these that no other wholesaling, acquisitions, guru type thing does, you're going to do well. But I am telling you, you do need to implement conditioning with your sellers. What is conditioning? So conditioning is basically, like I said before, just making sure the seller is ready to make a yes or no decision on selling the property. So before I go meet with someone on the house, be like, hey, Mr. Seller, before I get going, I don't want to waste your time, my time, before I go see the house on Monday. Are you and Sally ready to make a yes or no decision on selling before I go there? I just don't want to waste your time or my time. I only go in the house once. Yes, I'm ready to make a yes or no decision when I go there Monday. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Ms. Shella. We'll see you at 4 o'clock, whatever. Just saying that, because in virtual wholesaling closings, there's 3 options. 2 of them good, 1's bad. Number 1, what's really good? Hey, I want to sell the property. So a yes is good, is great. A no is good. So it's good if someone gives you a yes or no because you have a definitive statement. Not every real estate motivated seller is going to sell for a discount. I mean, they're just going to get a lot of no's. That's fine. I mean, that's how the game works, right? And then you're going to get a lot of yeses too, but the worst one is maybe. And making sure you condition the seller actually eliminates all the maybes out here and actually helps you so much in wholesaling. So make sure you condition the seller. If you want to learn exactly how to do that, how it all works, just go to freewholesaling.com. That's my free real estate wholesaling course where I teach you everything from A to Z on the wholesaling real estate process, from a beginner to an expert. My free one-on-one coaching call links are in there, and everything there for your real estate wholesaling success. But guys, those are my top 3 closing lines. I don't like the low ball where you just go out here and just lowball the seller randomly. I've never found that to work really well. Some people really love it. Some people, they do great with it. I don't like it. I don't think it doesn't cause the best success. And the reason why these 3 closing lines have given me the best success possible when it comes to closing sellers. So I can actually get the best closing rates, the best actual margins on my deals, and overall the most money in my wholesaling real estate business. So if you got any value, do me a big favor and smash the like button and subscribe. Make sure you go to freewholesaling.com, and we'll see you soon. Have a blessed one.